I never believed in ghosts, but 3 days ago I hiked into the hollow section of the Appalachian Trail, and when I came out, every person in my hometown had started calling me by my dead grandfather's name. I laced up my boots before dawn, grabbed the tin of my mum's ashes, and drove straight to the trailhead. She'd begged me for years to make peace with what happened to Grandpa Elias. Cancer took her fast last month. The guilt finally pushed me past my fear. The moment I stepped onto the trail, something felt off. The mist was too thick, too quiet. The pines smelled sharp and resinous, but there were no birds. Not a single sound except my boots on the wet leaves. It felt like the mountain was holding its breath. I pushed on. A couple miles in, I stopped at a switchback I remembered from old pictures. The white blazes on the trees looked ancient. Paint flaked off when I touched them, sticking to my thumb like old skin. They hadn't looked like this when I was a kid. My stomach tightened. I told myself it was just poor maintenance. But deep down, I already knew better. I kept going deeper. The rhododendron tunnels closed around me like green walls, cold and damp against my arms. The silence grew heavier. Then I pulled out Grandpa's old trail journal, the one I'd kept hidden since 1997. His handwriting on the final page still looked fresh. And that's when the memory crashed into me. The last fight we ever had. I was 17 and furious. I screamed at him that he loved this damn mountain more than his own family. Those were the last words he ever heard from me. My throat closed up. I whispered into the trees. "I'm sorry, old man. I didn't mean it. I stayed out there too long." When the light started dying, I turned back. My phone had no signal, but I tried to play music anyway. The speaker crackled with static. Then Grandpa's voice came through clear as day, calm, talking about trail conditions from 1997. The pause. The phone was on airplane mode. The battery was dead. Slower, more frightened. The voice stopped after 10 seconds and left me standing there in the dark, heart slamming against my ribs. I ran. I drove straight to the diner when I got back to Black Hollow. Maggie was behind the counter. The second she saw me, she frowned. "Gal, you look like hell. What happened out there?" I told her about the fading blazes. She listened, but when I mentioned scattering Mom's ashes on the trail, her face changed. "You sure that's a good idea, Elias?" She tried to laugh it off and said she was tired, but I saw the fear flash in her eyes. She had called me by my grandfather's name. That night, I couldn't sit still. I sat in my truck in the dark, frantically scrolling through the photos I'd taken on the hike. Most looked normal at first. Then I noticed it. The jacket in the shelter photo wasn't red anymore. It was green. Grandpa's old green jacket. And my face was starting to look wrong. Older. The lines deeper. My hands were shaking when I zoomed in. The next morning, the town was already forgetting me. I drove past the garage. My name on the sign was was gone. It now read, Elias Whitaker Auto Repair. Customers I've known for 15 years. I found Maggie and showed her the changed photo on my phone. Her face went completely white. That evening, she left me 2 voicemails, one right after the other. First one. Cal, it's me. I'm really worried. Come by the diner tonight. We need to talk. Then the second one. My hands started shaking so violently I dropped the phone. I replayed them over and over, my voice cracking as I whispered, "What the hell is happening to me?" That was the moment I understood. The mountain wasn't just haunting the trail, it was rewriting my entire life. I drove to the county records office. At the garage, my tools had been rearranged exactly the way Grandpa used to keep them. Customers asked about my bad knee, the one he injured in '96. I went back to the trailhead one last time. The fog was so thick I could barely see my own truck. I stared into the rearview mirror, and my reflection, it wasn't fully mine anymore. The eyes looking back at me were older, sadder. I screamed at the mountain, begging it to give me my life back. The only answer was the wind in the pines and that same distant train whistle. Then the final piece broke. I tried to say my own name out loud. My name is... The word Cal physically wouldn't come out of my mouth. My tongue felt thick, foreign. I tried